Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cash Flow Positive. I'm your host, Kenny Bedwell, and today in the part 2 episode, we're talking about how to be a good STR neighbor. So continuing the conversation from earlier on Tuesday's episode, and I've got a special guest with us from Can Monkey. This is Alex Shapiro. He is the co-founder of Can Monkey, and it's a service that helps STR managers, whether you're a co-host or you own the property or even property manager, manage their trash pickup. Okay. This is really important because in this episode, Alex is going to talk about this. This is important. He's going to talk about how in HOAs and communities, trash is actually one of the biggest complaints and how their service resolves that. But I want you to pay attention to the themes and the things that he talks about and we discover together throughout this episode. Can Monkey, just so you guys know, is a service that's in over 23 different states. They're growing. They have over 5,000 customers. I'm really excited to have him on the show. Alex, welcome. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I'm Alex. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I have 4 children. I'm married, and my 5th child is my company called Can Monkey. We essentially automate trash day, not just for the vacation rental industry, but also for homeowners, elderly, disabled, anyone who needs extra hands on their property, taking the trash cans to the curb and back every week for them.
Nice. Okay. So we'll get into your services a little bit, but so Alex, do you have any short-term rentals currently?
I have none personally. When I even got into Can Monkey, vacation rental wasn't even the idea. It was just like a back burner. So I really came into this whole industry backwards and just kind of learned while I was failing forward. And and unbeknownst to me, Scottsdale was the short-term rental mecca, in America in 2018 when this kind of got started with Can Monkey. So again, I came into this backwards, but now I know enough information. So when it gets to the right point, when I can take some money out of my own business and reinvest it, I'm going to know who to partner with and who to go after because I now know all this knowledge of industry.
So I want to hear it. Tell us your origin story. Tell us, how did you come to Can Monkey? You didn't have any short-term rentals, so why did the problem of like picking up trash and all this stuff come about? So tell us the origin story, and we'll go from there.
So my business partner started Can Monkey for homeowners in his own little neighborhood in Scottsdale, Arizona. My background at the time was working with title and escrow companies in the real estate industry, helping them farm, get new prospects, help them get new leads for their business. And a lot of the people I was working with were these investors here in Scottsdale. And at this time in 2018, they were converting some of their long-term rentals into short-term rentals. And so when I knew about my business partner now, but when I knew about his business, at first I thought it was kind of a silly idea. Like I wouldn't pay anyone to take my trash cans to the curb from my home. That's that was my initial thought. And then I knew about it. And then later on, maybe missed trash day once. I was like, okay, maybe he's on to something. But when I heard my clients converting their long-term rentals into short-term rentals, and I heard the pain points of trash, that's where I went to now. My business partner said, hey, I think you're onto something, but you should go after these short-term rentals. I'll partner in with you. I'll do the sales and marketing. You just make sure the cans get back to the curb. And that's kind of like the small thought process in the very beginning was, let me see what I can do with my, clients in the industry and see what I could do. And again, like that was very small minded of me. I thought it was maybe like a couple hundred, like not even like I thought it was just going to be in Scottsdale. But then shortly found out that there's industry and associations and people all over the country were doing this, and people had already sold for millions of dollars. And then there's these big companies buying out other big companies. Short went on the public stock exchange. So again, this is like we got lucky and we pivoted in a way to find out this niche that was here in our industry.
How many states and stuff are you in?
So we started in Scottsdale, Arizona. That was our first city and first state. And now 6 years later, we're in 28 states, over 350 cities with properties that we are servicing weekly for the can to curb.
Okay. 23 different states. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. So I guess, do you have like a manager or something you hire in each one of these like locations, or how does that, tell us how.
So we took the same concepts that we took here in Scottsdale. So in the very beginning, it was my business partner actually being the can runner, taking the cans to the curb. And then it was me doing the sales and marketing, just focusing on one city, which makes sense because we're actually there. And then when we started expanding and people finding out that we had the service and asking if we do some other cities, even if it was 40 minutes away or 30 minutes away, it was still like now logistically, how do we add that property 30 minutes away onto a route that we have right now. It didn't really make sense. So then, we start having to expand. And so we tried a lot of things here locally to where we were trying to figure out how long a route should be.
Mm.
What does a can runner's job actually entail? What do they need to do? And that has progressed from us doing it ourselves to now building our own technology and our own app to make sure that we are getting the timestamp photos, that there's geolocation on the cans, that we are sending them to the right property, that the routes are optimized the best way. And that's been, 6 years in the making. So now when we go into a new market, we're looking for that same criteria with that first, a route look like for us. Is it anywhere from 10 to 20 stops? Can they do it in an hour to an hour and a half long? Are they within a 5 to 10 mile, total radius, like mile drive? Like we try to find this ideal avatar of a route. If it works in a new market with a couple clients, we'll get going right away. And we find these can runners in the gig economy. So again, unbeknownst to us was the gig economy. I knew what Uber was. I used it, but I didn't realize that there's a whole world of individuals out there that were working in these Instacart, Uber, Grubhub. I understood, but I didn't understand. And so we kind of tapped into that market where we are looking for individuals who are looking to make some extra income throughout the day with doing some odd jobs. And with CamMonkey, we found that they really like having the consistency and persistency of the same route because they're running the same route every week. It's the same schedule. They like knowing that what they're going to make, unlike Uber and Grubhub, you're hoping for a big, checkout or you're hoping for a long drive. And with us, we're a little bit more consistent for them. So they know if I pick up these 3 routes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be making my $250 extra that week, an extra $1,000 that month. And we just fit in that criteria for them.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So and then how are you finding these people? How are you marketing to them to get
So now it's a lot easier. Like before, it was like off Craigslist and off like Facebook groups, and asking people, "Hey, do you want to take some trash cans to the curb?" And like, is this even real? And then now being on the Apple Store and Google Play, they find us just how they find any other app. They're on these Apple stores or Google Play looking up other gig jobs, and we just fit now in that gig economy. So if you go into your Apple Store and look up like running positions or route like anything along those lines that these gig economy people are looking for, we fit in there. There's other services now or other websites like Snag a Job or even Craigslist still has like a gig economy aspect for it. Like there's still these other websites we'll promote our stuff on, but for the most part now it's referrals, it's people that know about us now. We have too many can runners. So that was at first we thought it was gonna be a problem. Like how are we going to find someone that actually do this? And what we found out, that's not the problem at all. It's that they want more routes, they want more properties. So it's a song and dance of making sure we have enough properties that they're good on the routes and making sure we have good can runners.
Nice, that's awesome. So how many properties are you guys currently servicing?
We crossed over the 5,000 mark about 2 months ago. So we're 5,000 properties amongst all the states and cities that we're in currently. And about every week we're doing 1,000 routes. So 1,000 routes a week that we're completing in all these states and markets with about 500 can runners, 600 can runners that are actively running with us at all times.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. Cool. That's really great. Congratulations. Okay, so what I want to focus on today and in helping, like, you talk about the need and all that, is how to be a good STR neighbor. And I feel like trash is a big part of that. I know personally from my experience, having a bigger property, and I have to have 2 cans. I can't do one, unfortunately, especially during the off season. Everyone like these guys, these groups of like 15, 20 people check out and there's just all their trash all at once. And then we have a same day turn. And so I mean, wind blows, it gets in the neighbors' yards, or like, if we don't have it by the curb, the trash company misses it, like all this stuff. There's other things we're going to talk about here beyond just like trash, but this idea of like being a good neighbor, how did that inspire? First off, did that inspire you guys into this industry? And then also too, with that is, what are some of the techniques that you tell your guys to help out with, and services maybe you even offer to be for STR owners to be good neighbors?
So again, like we kind of stumbled into this, but once we realized that the service that we were providing and how it was beneficial to our clients, then we really took that and exploited it in that aspect. So you're right. Like at first, it wasn't like a thought like, "Hey, we're going to go do this to help the neighbors of these Airbnbs." But when we found out that we really were providing a service that was a win-win for everyone, we definitely will use that in our sales tactics when we talk to our clients. And so a lot of people have a system or solution. Sometimes it's just 50% to 75% at best. If it's your cleaners taking them to the curb, maybe they're there on the right day, but who's doing it the next day? Maybe your guest, take it back that week, but who's doing it the next week because that guest's not there anymore. So with Cam Monkey, it's the consistency that you just know that every week that the cans are gonna be at the curb. We take these timestamp photos, so you're ensuring the cans are at the right location on the right day, and we're bringing them back on the right day. And that's where we really found out is that we had a conversation once with GovOS, and they were telling us that in Sedona, they were giving us an issue of some of the complaints that they were getting. And one of these properties in Sedona had like 250 calls against it. And it was majority of trash. And so we were looking at it even deeper. And out of those 258 calls, it was all the same person. It was this neighbor named Mitch. So it wasn't that there was actually an Airbnb issue. It was a Mitch problem that, he had an issue. And the one thing that he could get the neighbor for was that the trash can was left out a little too late. And we're talking like it's supposed to be back by 6:00, and it's like 6:05. He's calling. He's calling again at 6:08. He's calling again at 6:11. He was just being kind of a pain. But that's what we've seen is that one example of like, this is how we can help keep your neighbors happy, keep your guests happy, keep your team occupied on the actual jobs they're supposed to be doing. And then you outsource this one tedious task that has to be done every week to us. And this is what we do. And this is all we do. And so we found that partnering with companies like us definitely help them now know that they can focus on making sure their guests happy, making sure that they have clean sheets, making sure that the important things, that trash is not important. It's just not what you get into Airbnb thinking that I got to deal with trash solutions. And sometimes people don't have any solutions.
Right. No. That I really like that. So the word you said there, and that's really like the headline, the subject, whatever it is consistency. And then you said about the cleaners taking out the trash. Like I had that same issue where it's like at first I thought I could get the cleaners to take out the trash and then take the garbage cans to the curb. And sometimes they would, and then sometimes they'd miss it. And then I was getting guest messages about complaints of the trash cans are full. And I'm like, well, yeah, they just did a big job yesterday and then all this stuff. And it's like, it just really wasn't consistent, you know? And I'm not saying for those listening, you can't have your cleaners take your trash or, whatever services they offer. But the reality is if you're doing anything, especially on the outside of the home that impacts your neighbors, you want something that's going to be consistent, whether it's landscaping, whether that's garbage, whether that's, any other type of maintenance that impacts the neighborhood, the well-being of the neighborhood. You need consistency and also automation, right? So how are you guys automating this process for your owners?
So the weekly schedule will always be the same. You have the city trash, and the city basically tells you when they're going to be there. So if the trash is going to come on Tuesday, recycling is going to come on Thursday, we schedule that we're there the evening before, both the trash day and recycling day. So we'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we're taking those timestamp photos. It's all on your client dashboard. So our clients have access. We call it transparency. We don't hide anything. It's all on your client dashboard. So if I made a mistake and didn't take the can to the curb, there's proof that I didn't do it. If I did it and there's proof, we did it. So if you're getting a call from the client or from your guest 2 days later, 3 days later, saying that there's trash in there now, I can show you, hey, Kenny, brought the can out on Monday. We brought it back on Tuesday. It was empty. Is it possible they filled it up the last couple of days? You're going to say, oh, yeah, I actually had a turn on Wednesday and these guys just checked in on Thursday. That's right. We also now have, with our application, we have the API connections that we can connect to different PMS companies. So where we could even go as far as scheduling an on-demand trash removal where we'll come and remove all the trash. And so we have it with some clients where it's programmed that if trash day is 72 hours away from a guest, checking out or checking in, that we'll automatically schedule a pickup to remove all the trash after that guest leaves. So that way you're always ensuring that new guests are never seeing old guest trash, which no one wants to see that. So you're always having clean cans, empty cans for new arrivals.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I assume if there's any issues or whatever, like the trash can is damaged or whatever, you guys report it in the dashboard.
Yep. Any issues, say for example, we're taking the trash can to the curb, but they don't have two like you, they only have one, and there's some bags on the ground because, the guest just left it there, the cleaners left it. We'll take the can to the curb and say, hey, Kenny, just want to let you know there's some bags on the ground. Do you want us to schedule an on-demand for you? Oh, yes, please. Or, hey, you know what? Actually, I have my maintenance guy around the corner. I'm going to have him go over there real fast and take those bags. Thanks for letting me know. So some people
Mhm.
will say, hey, Alex, like whenever there's any excess trash, just remove it and just bill me. Some say, hey, I got my own systems and processes, but at least we're letting them know. So now they have eyes and ears. Like if you have 25 properties, it's almost impossible for you to be at every single property on the right day. With
Yep.
Camel, we're going to every single property on the right day and the day before. So we were almost at your property 16 times a month, which is probably
Mhm.
more than anyone else at your property, keeping these eyes and ears on your property. So we let our clients know when anything looks strange or anything looks weird. We'll send issue notifications. They go right to the client dashboard, email or SMS, however our clients set it up, to where you get notified of an issue.
That's great. That's really I love the technology and the automation, but going back to it again, I think it's the theme here. That's the term I was looking for. Theme. Consistency. Consistency. You want to be consistent in your presentation of your listing. When a guest walks in, you want them to have that same experience that you had when you launched the property. Assuming that it was launched correctly. So I know sometimes people don't check. It's funny. I was talking to another Kim Fitzpatrick, and she was talking. She does. Oh my gosh, what's her company called? Burnish. What Launched Host? Oh my goodness, she's gonna kill me for that. So I'll probably get a message after this episode comes out. Like it's Launched Host, Kenny. Anyway, I'll get some. I'll tell it. She needs to send me some swag or something. And I'll wear it. Same thing for you guys. Send me some swag. I'll wear it on thing. But anyway, she's talking about how a lot of people, a lot of owners, they forget to about setting up certain things or in their property. Like, hey, you need not obviously you need like forks and spoons and knives, but you need can openers and you need this and that and all these like different things. And if you don't stay at the house, you don't really know it. And your first guests are kind of your guinea pig. And then flipping it to trash, it's like a problem that no one talks about. They just assume like sometimes the cleaners take it, but you've got all these inconsistent issues and you want to present a consistent product. And I think that this is obviously a great solution to that problem. But let's talk about more. I guess like the being the good neighbor and stuff. How are you guys growing in your current markets and promoting your services even within the markets that you're at?
So at first, when you're starting a business, you're kind of saying yes to everything, and then you get to a
Mm-hmm.
point where you can kind of start saying no, and kind of looking at things a little bit different. And so now with our business and how much we've grown, we're able to kind of gamify our business a little bit better. Especially being now a logistical technology company. That's not what we came to start off at first, but now we are a logistical technology company. So with that aspect of that, how do we optimize our routes even more? And so we now know that, for example, say like Scottsdale is a great market for us, and we have like a property, we have a route that has like 25 stops in it that we can do within an hour because they're all just next to each other because they're just a bunch of Airbnbs and VRBOs. And we're making 85 to 90% profit margins on that route because it's a great route and condensed. But then we have routes that we get started off with that are maybe only 3 stops in a day, and we're losing 50% profit margins because it makes no sense. We're only doing 3 stops, but we know we have to get started somewhere. So the thought
Mm-hmm.
process is like, it'd be great to be in 50 states and 500 cities, but realistically, I could be in 10 states and 5 cities and have 25,000 properties, like with the nearest neighbors. And so, what we're looking at now, gamifying it, is looking at our routes, the worst ones on profit, and seeing how we can add in the nearest neighbor. How do we reach out to someone that's already on a route, but right next to them? So, if we go to a 5% profit margin, we can add 5 properties. Now we're going to a 30% profit margin because we just made that route even better. How do we add the nearest neighbor? And so our marketing so far has been essentially me reaching out methodically to property managers across the country growing. Our cost of acquisition is so low that it's not even something to brag about because it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
Besides going to these conferences and besides showing my face, that's all we've been able. No, not able. But that's all we've been doing to grow. So now it's like, how do we now spend some marketing dollars? How do we send postcards out to the areas that we're in to get the nearest neighbor, to get the elderly, to get the disabled, to get like all these other individuals that are signing up for us organically. And we see how they're signing up. They're saying, oh my gosh, I broke my arm or I broke my leg and I live by myself. And so how do we start partnering with these like medical companies? How do we start partnering with insurance companies? How do we partner with HOAs a little bit more? So some of these things that we've already seen and already got, now let's, really look at it at a larger scale and start marketing those in the areas that we're already operational in to increase our profit margins, increase efficiencies, and be more effective.
Yeah, and I want to be clear on one thing. It popped in my head, and most of our listeners are 0 to 5 properties, so individuals can sign up for the service. You don't have to be a property manager, right?
No, absolutely. And then so like I don't want to just be like pigeoned in this like vacation rental industry. Like I love the industry. There's a need for us and to our point that we've been talking about. But again, like what we have found over the last 5-6 years, it's also like these people with one property or two property that live 40 minutes away or 4 states away that just need help with their rental property. And the last thing
Mhm.
they want to do is lose their license because a trash can was left at the curb too long. That's the least of the worries. Like you have to worry about all these other things. The last thing you want to worry about is a trash can staying out too long and now you're getting a fine from the city or breaking a regulation. So again, you're not there. You can't, or if you are there, you don't want to drive 25 minutes for a trash can and then go back. So they see that our service is actually a really big need and they say, you know what, for $49 a month, you guys will go to my property 16 times and take photos, make sure the can's back at the right spot. Like sign me up. I don't have to ask my cleaners to do it anymore. I don't have to ask the neighbor to do it. The neighbor doesn't want to do it anyways, or
Yeah,
he forgets about it. So,
that's a good point.
so
Yeah.
now so now they have a solution and it's all right there. And then a lot of people also like it where they use it almost as like a security reason. Like your trash can's at the curb and back. Your property looks like it's always being occupied. It's never just sitting vacant. So even if you have someone not staying there for 2-3 weeks, people want the service to stay on. So it looks like someone's staying there. So their asset, their property is being maintained or someone's looking at, there's photos of the front of the house because that's what we take to make sure we're at the right property. And people love that. So this is what we have found over the 5-6 years of other individuals that we know there's millions of them out there. We just never marketed to them.
So I do want to say, like, tell our listeners this, like, guys, like, if you're in some of the markets they cover and you're interested in their services, obviously go check it out. But part of the episode title, How to Be a Good STR Neighbor, and I think, this is something too, Alex, that you guys could promote is, especially people who are in HOAs, one of the biggest complaints, and you mentioned this too, for short-term rentals is trash blowing people's yards, just, like not being taken out, things like that. And, if you're in an HOA, going to the HOA and recommending these services, telling people about, or telling them to tell other short-term rental hosts that are in your neighborhood as well about these services, because it's a win-win, I think, for everybody. In a sense where you can literally handle an issue that people are afraid about who are living there full time, and also one that maybe hosts are afraid, of too, of what this doomsday scenario of all this trash and then same day turnover and things. And so I think it's an excellent opportunity to not only have a good service to be a good neighbor to everyone else, but recommend it as, and then it's benefit to Alex and his crew because it makes them more efficient, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And it's good for the client now knowing that like they're going onto an existing route. Like we're not like
right.
you're not a guinea pig. You're literally going on a route that's already operational, already existing, and like you said, it's a win-win for everyone. And that's where we're just getting the mindset now of these HOAs and of these hosts and owners, letting them know that there is a solution, that you don't have to just like cross your fingers and hope that you don't get a fine or you don't get a letter. And some people sign up with us and they'll be like, hey, just want to know if I get one more fine, it's like a $900 fine. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I can't be responsible for this, like I'll help you. But like, at the same time, like your property is it's not, private, it's public, so I can't be responsible for everything because there are times we take the can back at the right place and guest now will move it or, someone else will do something. So, but as long as we have the timestamp photos and everything, we're able to help these clients. And we actually got our clients out of erroneous fines by having those timestamp photos because we can show them that, hey, that fine that you got, that's actually not true. The can was back at this location. And they're like, oh, thanks, can I have that? And now it's just like a civil suit. As long as you have more evidence than them, and we have all that data and we're transparency, you have all that. So
if you don't cover a certain market, and someone's interested in your services, is it a wait list? What do they have to do to
yeah, so
get your ears and your attention?
Absolutely. So we can get started in a new market with anywhere from 10 to 20 properties in a given area. So if you're in a city and you have 5 properties, you have another person that has like 5 properties, want to mix those properties together and we can see if we can make a route. Like I said, like we're not in the business of losing money, but I'm in the business of getting started and helping individuals. And if we can now get into a new market with these 10, and I know that if I add 15 more, I got a good route, like we'll do that. Especially we have so many good routes in the market and in other markets that we're able to kind of take that loss to get started. But yeah, if we're not in that area yet, like we need about 10 to 15, 10 to 20 to get started. And again, it's just like sharing this information, whether it's on a Facebook group, whether it's on giving us some information of people that you know, or we can reach out to them or whatever it may be. But like I said, we're in 350 cities, so we know how to get started. It wouldn't be our first time. Like we know what we need now to get it going.
But anybody can reach out. They can say, "Hey, I noticed you don't cover this area, but put me on the wait list or whatever."
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
And that way, when we have enough, then we can go back to them and say, "Hey, Kenny, do you still want that property added on to us?" You're like, "Oh my gosh, yes." Then we can just add it right on.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really, really, yeah. I might have some market. I might bring just like a force of hosts in certain markets
I love
to come over. So I'll be like,
That's
hey,
that's how we
yeah,
started. That's how we started in San Antonio. Kind of had a conversation with one person, and I was like, I can't do it with just one. And she went on a Facebook group and sent something out, and we had like 19 individual signups within like the next like 48 hours, just from people needing the service that bad and looking for something. And they go to our website, they see that we're a reputable company, they see that we've been doing this, and I think a lot of it's just like the trust factor and making sure like can someone actually do this? Or maybe they tried something before and it didn't work, so they're a little bit hesitant. But with us, like, once they start adding their property on, it's hard to come off because now you have it already taken care of for you. It's automated, it's consistent, it's persistent. You have the photos. It's you have ammunition to anyone that ever says anything to you about anything because it's all taken care of now.
That's nice. That's the warm blanket that I like to hug at night, and fold it tightly. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's with the door codes, with the like seeing like tracking who's coming in and when, and and then also cameras and just knowing like we even have something on the water main to gauge water levels. I know people put stuff in their pools to judge heat and water levels as well. Like just tracking all this stuff gives peace of mind, especially when there's consistency there with the services being offered to maintain the property. And that just helps people sleep better at night and, honestly, better reviews, right? Like
Right.
that's really what we're after is
Right.
how do we get better five-star or more five-star reviews and just keep that going consistently and get the highest rating possible because we know based on the data we're rewarded for that by being ranked higher in Airbnb or Verbo, which leads to more profit. So that's really interesting. Well, cool, Alex. So, question: how do people get a hold of you or Can Monkey if they're interested in your services?
Canmonkey.com is our website. You go right on there. You can ask for a quote. You can send a message to us. We'll respond. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. You find me at K period Alexander Shapiro on LinkedIn. Just reach out and would love to help out in any way and see how we can help with their property if we're already in your market, and if we're not in the market, see how we can get enough people to get on and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So go to canmonkey.com for those listening, those on YouTube, where there it is in the banner. I love this. As we're kind of wrapping up here, Alex, so the question I ask all of our guests, one, it could be about what we just talked about, it can be anything else. One way that people can cash flow positive with their short-term rentals.
I feel like one of the easiest ways would just kind of see how many things you can monetize. How many things are you spending money on that you can, turn into a profit? And I know that you said a lot of your viewers are 0 to 5, but even an aspect of if maybe one of your viewers is co-hosting or representing an owner of a property, and you now take Cam Monkey in, some of our owners or some of our clients are passing this cost on to their owners at a higher cost. Saying it's $60 a month, getting billed $49. So if you have 10 properties and you're making $10 a property a month, it's $100, $1,200 extra a year. That's just going down to your bottom line of whatever you want to use that property. So finding ways that you can monetize what you already have. Asking other vendors maybe if they want to market on your website. We used to call it like mailbox money in the real estate industry. Is how do you get vendors that you're using, your landscapers, your trash company, your pool companies, all these people that you're using for your short-term rentals. If you're representing your website and you're bringing eyes onto your website from people staying there, they can now see the other vendors you have and give them publicity as well. So that's my thing.
Yeah, I love it. Do you guys have a referral, not like a referral program for people who recommend other hosts or property managers?
We do. We have an affiliate link on our website. So if you go to our website, kmonkey.com/affiliate, you can download an affiliate. We give up to $50 per new property. So if you already have a property, you sign up a neighbor, you guys basically get a month free. So we do have that.
That's great. So so hold on.
Yeah.
If somebody goes and brings on a mass crew of people, it basically gets the service paid for itself, for a little bit at least. So
we had someone give us 12. It was her job. She's like, I'm going to do this. She got 12 different referrals for us, and she basically did have to pay for Cam Monkey for a year. So
that's awesome.
And that was like, she loved it. And it was a win-win because she was telling her aunt about it. She was telling her uncle about it. She was telling family members about it. And that was, then we would hear their stories about how much they loved the service. So that would help us now realize, like, look at this whole other industry out there of homeowners and all these, regular individuals, not just business owners or people with these assets. It's actually people are at the property, but they're having their own little issues or significant, other is traveling a lot and they need help. So we just learned all these new things about it. But yeah, absolutely. Someone gives us a bunch of referrals. They're basically getting Cam Monkey for free.
Yeah, that's great. So I wasn't sure if you guys had the affiliate link, so putting you on the spot there, but you do. That's great. And I think because I know some of our listeners, high chance they're going to be not in some of your markets, but they're going to be interested in the service. And I think it's something that's, once again, consistency. I love how the theme came out. It's something that we should all be looking for, especially as we're growing a business, right? So anyway, well, Alex, any other parting words, anything else you want to add before we kind of wrap up here?
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on here to speak to your audience. Like you said, like trash is like really the last thing that people think about when they get into a short-term rental, property, from what I found. And so just knowing that there is services out there like this, or knowing that there is solutions that maybe you can take from other people and not recreate the wheel, is huge. So thank you for allowing me to speak to your audience, and I love what you do to the industry, and appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's good seeing you. Thanks for being on the show. And if you enjoyed this episode, guys, and you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I will see you next week on the next episode of Cash Flow Positive.